Okay, so this is like a legit 95% final house update. We are almost there. We're like literally right at the end. This is also a completely like unsponsored, I mean, there's technically a small little sponsor in this video, but the entire video isn't sponsored. I owe you guys. Let us go through what the current state of the house is and where we are currently at. So kind of from the entryway, we'll talk about outside in a second, but this is the area where kind of still needs maybe the most work. So you can still see we've got scaffolding here. This is like the great room, the gathering room where people like to hang out. This is where we've got 20-foot ceilings. This is the place where I was inspired by Apple. So I was just at WWDC. I saw some of the big glass and I was like, yes, I was able to capture some of that Apple essence in having such a big space with so much natural light, which I really love. What has to be done is you can still see some wires that are hanging. So we need blinds to be installed. That's why the scaffolding is still up. Imagine a nice little couch, essentially where you guys are standing. This is where you can just chill by the fireplace, relax, hang out, maybe chat, not tech. And then maybe behind here, you can see we actually have some furniture being delivered. That's how delayed we are. Small little bar area. And maybe in the back here, just some casual seating. And we've got a little door that leads into the backyard / side of the house. But we've got some Drio fan boxes. I'm sure you guys would love to talk about that. Before we get to the rest of the tour, just want to give you guys a bit of like an update. I'm coming clean a bit. I know in the past couple months, there's been a lot of feedback on ad placement, how heavy it's been. I get it. It's a lot, it's been too much. There's some things that I have to pay for. I've got a little one on the way. All those things are expensive, but it has just been way too much. So moving forward, I'm gonna try to dial that back. For example, in this video, there's like a 90-second, 2-minute ad placement in the middle. You can always skip past that if you want. There's gonna be no more 8 to 9 minute videos solely talking about fans as an example, but get that this channel cannot survive just from say like YouTube ad revenue. I wish that were the case. I just don't get enough views. It has to rely on sponsorship. So just coming clean on my end. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, but I will definitely dial it back. I hear your guys' feedback, but let's go on through the rest of the house. Let's talk about my favorite area right now, which is really coming together. It's the kitchen. So what I can say, this place is pretty much done. From the millwork to the beautiful stone to the appliances, everything is finally installed. The highlight of this place is obviously this massive island. This thing is close to 20 feet. The stone itself, we did have to go for 2 slabs, but I really like how it was cut. It's the same backsplash. The stone that we picked, it's quartzite, technically not quartz, so this is a natural stone. I really love the veining on it. It actually has little bits of hints of orange, which I loved, but it's gray, it's got some veining in white. You can see here in the back though, a couple little window trim pieces are missing, but it is like that 95 percentile. I'll show you something really cool. This is actually a hidden pantry. And what's nice is it is flush with all the cabinetry, and you can kind of go in and you can get a little sneak peek of where all the stuff that you don't want to live on the counter, rice, pots, pans, any of that stuff can go there. I've also got a full size, like literally full size fridge and freezer, and that is full cabinet size. And what's nice is all of our appliances are with a partnership with Monogram. More on that in a separate video when I go through some of the tech, some of the cool little finishes of the kitchen. Let's do a switch. It's gonna come to here. This is the area on the opposite side of the kitchen, technically called like the TV room. Actually have the 100-inch TV that plans to be mounted onto this new TV console. So this was the last piece of millwork that was just installed. I'm gonna show you guys something really cool. In my years of testing TVs, obviously you have the main TV usually mounted. Every time you have to swap that out, that's a lot of work, especially if it's wall mounted. You need a couple guys to take it down. I thought of a genius solution. So, into the millwork, this actually opens. You can imagine, say the TV is mounted on the wall, it can now theoretically get hidden by these panels. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. This closes back up. And now you have a completely blank slate, which a TV can still fit and get mounted onto this little platform here. And you don't have the TV in the back. So I have theoretically built a media console for reviewing TVs. The bonuses of being able to build and spec something how you want if you're a tech content creator. Genius, I think. And that's really cool. And if you don't want to show the TV, say you're just having people over, you're not technically watching, you don't want an ugly black box, you can just have this covered, and then it's once again in another tech-free zone. So that's pretty much the main floor. Before we go like upstairs, so I'm gonna kind of talk about stage 2 of the project. So all of these windows, which you see, once again, more glass, these technically all collapse, if I can open these. These all open kind of like accordion style. And eventually there will be a large deck that lives on the back of the house. And what's nice is, if this is the first time you're watching this, we do live on the back of a ravine. So we've got all this greenery, no neighbors in the back, really like private. And if you know anything about Toronto, that is actually quite tough to get. So beautiful view of the back. Imagine just like a deck, maybe the same length as the scaffolding, and you can just kind of walk out. But that was like the plan. And let's close these because my AC bill will probably be a couple $100 a month. That is now the main floor. Let's go upstairs to the real fun stuff. So up here, which you may or may not have seen, this is like on floor technically like 1.5. This is the studio. You can actually see I've created some vids already on some desk setup content. Stuff is still wrapped because we don't want it to get too dusty. But for example, this is a Razor Lamborghini chair. But this studio space is around 850-ish square feet. Once again, what's really nice, when you start to build a house, you can actually plan for a lot of these things. So just like that media console, one of the biggest like pain points when you create content, you have lights. Light stands just take up so much room like on the floor. So we were able to wire into the ceiling, have light stands, or I guess absence of light stands, the lights actually just installed up top, and those eventually will be run by this smart home system, which once again, separate video, but I can control all of those separately through this little tablet or console. And one more unique thing about the studio is actually the flooring. So this is all like white oak herringbone. Everywhere else, you actually have just like the white standard like long planks. I wanted something a bit different, and I think the herringbone pattern looks super, super cool. In some of our initial shots, it actually came out really, really nice. And we do have like a white oak slatted panel on the back. And in this little nook, this is where I want to replicate the good old orange wall, which currently lives in my studio. So you can imagine this is the last little pieces of millwork. So a couple shelves, maybe just a little console here, and then just load it up with more orange stuff. But that is the studio. We can actually kind of see right here, this is the final piece that's being installed. Maybe we'll go outside after this. You can see that fluting on the edge right there. That is the final exterior cladding that's going on. So maybe we'll brave the heat and we'll go outside and show you what that looks like. All right, so to outside, like it's freaking hot. Like Toronto right now, it's like 39 degrees, which I think like in Fahrenheit, that's like over, I'm gonna say over 100. We'll do the conversion. But the last thing that has kind of been like keeping us from the outside is this exterior cladding, which is finally going in. These are each aluminum panels. They almost look like they're wood, but I hate like maintenance. So each one of these is cut in aluminum. You can actually see some of the tools, but yeah, little aluminum shavings. They're obviously like cutting these right now so that those all can be put in. Eventually this garage door can open up. I don't want to touch it right now, but should be able to open up in the individual panels. A lot of this will just be fine-tuned. That is the last exterior piece. So on the outside, we technically have like 3 main materials. We obviously have like the wood, aluminum cladding, we've got the concrete, and then we've got all of the glass on the outside. So once this is done, we've pretty much finished the exterior. We've just got like standard concrete driveways, but this is a cool new little toy that I've been playing around with. This is my first official robot lawnmower. As a very first time like homeowner, dealing with like lawns is something that you have to kind of deal with. Instead of spending my Saturdays or Sundays doing that, I thought this could be a trusty addition. Plus it's obviously, saying hi to me. This is the Segway Navimo X3 series, specifically the X315. This robot lawnmower can get up to half an acre of coverage. Once again, in Toronto, that is way too large of a space. Your place would be like $10 million, but perfect for my lawn. So I've actually run it through a couple cycles already. I want to kind of do one like on camera. So where it is set up right now, this isn't the final destination. Good movie, by the way. This is just kind of showcasing where it's at. But as an example, I've got it set up in the app. We can kind of show some B-roll of that, but hitting okay. And here we go. We're moving along. So now, once again, completely hands-free. And look, it's even contouring the lines, or I guess the overall like footprint of the area. I didn't actually control that. It's all pre-mapped in. So as it's actually right behind me, I can start to talk about a couple of its features. It has EFLS 3.0, which is its GPS system, which helps locate where it is in its like overall space. I'm actually really impressed with how it manages the edges because my lawn isn't completely like a flat square. It's landscape. We've got lots of rocks, we've got trees, we've got like little divots in the ground everywhere. It's able to map that out and stay away from those areas. It's got an upgraded vision fence, which should help it with any obstacles. Once again, those big divots into the ground. It's got a traction control system, or TCS. You can see those big orange wheels, which once again, I'm a fan of the color. It works really well in narrow areas, even in nighttime. Say you don't want to mow the lawn during the day, you can have it on at night as well. For the actual tech bit, it has a dot matrix screen. When we were first powering it on, we could actually see one of the software updates that it was running. When it charges, you can see the actual percentage. It's got an anti-theft mechanism built in, but such a handy little piece of tech. Super useful. It's orange, and it makes my life way easier with just a bit of home automation. So let's go back inside. We'll leave the Segway to complete it, and when it's done, it has that auto home return feature where it can make its way back into the base. It can charge and be ready for its next mow cycle. Okay, so back from outside, you can actually see once again some more natural light. We've got the Skylight with a ladder that I think they still need to touch that up and access. So that goes all the way from the main floor. It's actually a scary little look. And if you didn't know, this staircase, which is pretty unique, I didn't mention that on the main floor, this actually serves as a bit of structural integrity for the second floor, just because the first floor is completely like open concept. There's no technically walls. Some of these beams actually give weight and support to here. So let's go on to where the real magic happens. To the master bedroom, and once again, some weird stuff going on. For some reason, we have a door that's hanging out in the middle. I think they took this off for some reason. We have our furniture, our bed delivered before everything else is done, but that's the reality of it. What I really love about this room though are these massive windows, once again, floor to ceiling. I haven't shared this before because it was usually winter. When the trees finally grow in the spring and the summer, it makes you feel like you're hanging around in like a tree house. Like the trees are so close to this upstairs. It is so beautiful. This is actually my favorite place to actually like stand and look out. It makes you feel like you're living in nature, which is really nice. And even though we're downtown Toronto, it gives you a very like calm sense, like perfect for the bedroom. Instead of having the light wood slats, like in the studio, we went for black, a bit darker, a bit moodier. I think great for the bedroom. And then from there into the last room, which is the primary washroom, which once again, the color scheme here, very similar to downstairs. So we've got the concrete tiling everywhere. And instead of the white oak, we have walnuts for the cabinets. You can see here, more natural light with large windows and greenery. We've got the tub that's kind of floating here. This is where we'll take a shower. It's kind of a floating piece of glass, which is nice. And the ultimate throne room for any guy, it's the wash closet. If you've ever seen like This Is 40, that's gonna be me in a little bit. But that is the main washroom. And in here, we've got a little walk-in closet, and we do have a little washer dryer. It's like a combo machine. So it does both washing and drying in one cycle, which I think is nice. So all things that you don't wanna take all the way downstairs to the laundry room can be in there. That is our room, and then swapping back into, we've got the final two rooms. So these will both be bedrooms. I joke around this room being like my future podcast room, maybe. You never know. This is kind of like the two-windowed room. It looks back onto the ravine. Pretty simple bedroom. Splitting the bedrooms, we've just got a small little washroom that can be shared. And into this room, where I think like the future nursery is gonna be, just because it has less light. So here we're gonna put blackout blinds. From what I've been told, you need to have a really dark room for a baby. So this is potentially baby Karl's future room. And once again, we just have random pieces of stuff that are not finished. This is actually the railing for the stairs, for some reason, is in this bedroom. But that is part of that 5% that is not done. That's upstairs. And yeah, definitely do not fall down here. This is where that railing goes, because that goes back to the main floor, which will go into the basement now. Okay, last area, the coolest actually. Oh, this is nice. You guys can't obviously feel it, but it is so much cooler down in the basement. So to talk about this, we obviously have a walkout. So this walks onto the back of the house. So you can imagine the house is kind of like sloped. I talked about in one of my first videos how I wanted this underpinned. In reality, I saved myself like close to $35,000, $40,000. I kept the ceiling heights At the same point, we got a little bit extra, like a foot extra on the floor. So I think this should be fine for like a basement. As an example, I already have a 100-inch TV mounted to the wall, ready to go. I just have extra TVs floating around. Maybe a room that I'll spend a lot of time in. This was actually a separate area of the house before. It was on a different slab, so that's why this is lower. This used to be like a storage area. And in the future, this will be, you can judge me on my form, that was my golf swing, a little built-in simulator. So I already have the turf ordered for this room. You can see we've got a projector right here. That will be mounted right up top here. Got a little HDMI cable ready for that to get plugged in, and you can imagine that being projected onto the wall. And then my hack of a swing will hit golf balls, and hopefully I will get better once this area is done. Super dark in here, which I still can't figure out the light systems yet. This is our main laundry room. Some really nice blue tile, which hopefully you guys can see. And then coming on to this way, which I think is really cool. This is like the brains of the house. This is the mechanical room. You can see all the switches. So I haven't mentioned before, we are using a Savant home system or Savant smart home. Our entire house is run off of a Mac Mini or Mac OS. You can see actually right there, if we can get a zoom in, that is a Mac Mini installed into this little server rack, which once we get everything kind of set up, you can actually see some of the switches. As an example, these can all be manually programmed. You can set what they do. For example, the last one I always like to do is like all off. So when you're leaving a certain room or a certain area of the house, just pressing that last button will turn off all the lights of the house. That is, part of that, once again, 5% that still needs to get set up. This is a downstairs, or I guess like a basement bedroom. This is like where my dad likes to joke he's gonna move into. And then he has his own little ensuite, the last washroom of the house. It's nice, 3-piece. We've got a tub. This is, I think, where we're gonna be washing Link when he gets too dirty. Obviously toilet, sink, and that is pretty much an updated house tour. So that was the 95% complete done house tour, a bit of like a real life update of where we are currently sitting. Is it a realistic timeline that we would be moved in for like September when our child is on the way? I think it's gonna be super tight. Still have to figure out what I'm gonna do with the studio. There will be a lot of moving pieces. Obviously during the busiest time of the year, Tech September, Techtober. Should I just wait in my condo right now? Is there anything else that we've missed in this house build? I know it's been taking so long, but sometimes when you're so like in the trenches, you miss little bits, little details. I'd love to hear your guys' input, but that exterior cladding just needs to get finished. Obviously some little touch-ups on the interior. We've got moving water, we've got HVAC systems running. We can technically live in this house if we wanted. Is that what we're gonna do with a new child on the way? That is something that we need to figure out, but hopefully you guys enjoy this. Obviously that little update around sponsored content, I hope I was pretty transparent. There's gonna be a lot more like house content to come in the future. I will once again be very clear on what is sponsored versus what is not. And yeah, just thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for keeping me real, and just hope you've enjoyed the tour, all of this so far. Till the next one, and hopefully a finished house update. Peace.